Believe it or not, Monday morning is here. Good morning, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Welcome to the wake-up call for another Monday morning. What day is it? What day is it? Listen, you see, after Friday, I stopped counting the days on the calendar. I stopped keeping track of a lot of things. You understand? So every Monday morning, I have to reset. All right? It's a resetting Monday morning right here on the wake-up call. The 8th of November, good morning, SVG. Good morning, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Sweet Vincy, you remain Hiruna, land of the blessed. Gem of the Antilles. You see all the names that we got? We big bout to know. Wherever you're listening right now, whether it's across the length and breadth of SVG, the rest of the region, US, UK, Canada, Asia, Africa. However you're listening, whether it's via 104.3, 88.5, www.x104fm.com, your favorite app, your favorite website. Good morning. It's a wake-up call. We are going to take you up until 10 o'clock this morning. If you see me stumbling this morning, it's because I'm resetting. And I apologize sincerely in advance for any little trips this morning, all right? If you're on the road right now, make sure you take it easy, and good morning to you. Good morning to the folks who are up and about. Yeah, man, up and about in your house, in your yard, at work, on the road, in the gyms. Yeah, man, pumping that adrenaline, pumping that blood through your veins. We are alive and well. Good morning to you and welcome, all right? If you want to hit us up this morning, 430-1043. As a matter of fact, that phone number, that WhatsApp number should be in your phone saved. Extreme FM, you understand? You should also save the number to call, 457-1043. You understand what I'm saying to you? All right? So on Mondays, what we normally do, we deal with what has been trending over the weekend. All right? And I think I'm going to let you choose where I start this morning. All right? In terms of first discussion. So let me see what's been making the rounds over the weekend. Some things not so good. All right? Now, Friday, it was shared. Good morning to all the students and the teachers, by the way, the principals and everything. Good morning to y'all. I hope that you had a very good weekend. I hope that you had a restful weekend and that you are ready to take on today's challenges and today's glories. All right? Now, last week, the decision was made to allow students in schools to wear long pants and thing, right? Because of dengue. So let me tell you what's been happening with dengue. The CMO said that we are still in a spike of dengue fever. 2021, October, November, right? So we have to do what we must to prevent it from getting worse, or prevent last year from repeating itself this year. The good thing is, right, according to our Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the data was shared, the numbers are significantly lower in terms of reported infections, significantly lower than where we were at around the same time last year. All right, so that is some good news. That is some good news. Also, other good news, right? They are about to start work on Sandals Beaches Resort. To be honest, when they were clearing the area, I thought that meant that work started on the project, but apparently not. Officially, they will start very soon. So big up yourselves, right? Progress, development is coming. All right, and in time, and you know that quite a number of people have been employed by Sandals Beaches already, and they have already gone off to work, to train, so that they can come back and represent the brand right here in SVG. When the time comes for them to open, I know it will be a glorious day for many Vincentians, especially those who are employed with Sandals. And I know some people are going to be very negative and throw a pity party and want to rain on people's parade, as they already are doing, being critical for no good reason. All right? But your day will come one of these days. You will be right about your criticism. Not today, not today, not today, not today. All right? So that's some good news. That's some really good news. Also good news, we're going to get some help with improving our healthcare system in the near future from Taiwan. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I mean, when I read the story, one of the things that really jumped out at me is the fact that with a little improvement on the healthcare system, we can save more lives, especially when it comes to trauma. I've always wondered, like, if things were better and more high tech, if more people's lives would have been saved, like, for example, persons who were stabbed or persons who got shot, if for some reason, right, we would have been hearing of people dying instead of, or we would have been hearing of people being alive after some sort of trauma instead of dying from like a gunshot wound or a stab wound or something of the like, you know. Always wondered that. So that's good news. Thank you very much in advance. Something else crossed my mind when I read that article. In exchange for what? But let us not go down that road this morning, all right? So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Development comes at a cost. Let me just remind you about that, all right? Development comes at a cost and somebody has to pay it. But who's paying it? Who is paying it? All right? Trending over the weekend as well. This one is frightening. This one, when I read it, when I listened to the stories, frightening, I tell you. Now, let me paint this scenario for you, right? I'm an artist this morning. Let me paint this scenario for you. Imagine, and this is an international story that's been trending very heavily over the weekend. Imagine being at Sokomanak, right? And the crowd that you see down there normally at Sokomanak, when it's at its biggest, when it's at its peak. For example, when Fireman performing, right? Or Skinny Fabulous, right? When the headliners are performing, imagine Victoria Park and that crowd down there times 5 or 6. I would say 10,000 people in Victoria Park. Multiply that by 5 or 6, right? Now, what we're going to do now, imagine Fireman is performing. And you know how Fireman performs and how the crowd gets on. And how people normally go closer to the stage during that time, right? Just imagine that. Imagine you in a crowd like that. 50, 60,000 people. Imagine as well that you cannot move. You cannot breathe. The music is to the roof. People in other planets, well, not people, but life in other planets could hear the music. And you are dying and nobody at all can hear you. Imagine that. Now, over the weekend, this American rapper, a little black youth, right? He had this concert, Astroworld, right? And at that concert, there were about 50,000 plus people gathered in that space. When he started to perform, things got real crazy. And people began to rush to the stage like a stampede. Do you know what happened? Oh, the place was so cramped. The place was so ridiculously jam-packed. It's like, not even sad, like tree. Now people began to panic. People couldn't breathe. People couldn't see. People were screaming for help. People were trampling and walking on people's bodies, I tell you, because people were collapsing because they just couldn't move. And people panicked so much that they taken with heart attack and dead. 8 people lost their lives at that concert. And what was really scary about reading that story and following it is that nobody could hear you crying for help. The entire crowd. Nobody could hear you. And you just end up dropping and dead. People were saying that they were seeing people dropping like flies. And somebody even went to somebody who was video recording the event. And he just shunned them off. Like, get off my stand. He didn't take them on. Just imagine you in a space and you cannot move. You cannot breathe. And you just die. Just like that. That is madness. Now, what I've been seeing trending as well with that story is that they are looking into the investigations, right? Because I read somewhere where one of the security details said he felt a prick on his neck and after that he passed out. and he had to be given medication for an overdose. So they're now speculating that perhaps people were drugged at the event. Even before it started, people rushed and broke down the barriers to get inside. Total madness over one artist, boy. Listen, you see things like them there, I not even going to listen to his music. I listened to a bit over the weekend to see what the big hype was. People saying it was a sacrifice. People saying it's devil music. All kind of thing people saying, boy. And it was just so terrifying. Boy, you see why idols keep away from crowds? You see why idols keep away from crowds? Imagine people went there for the birthday weekend and end up dead. Madness, I tell you. You know what else is madness? What time is it? 6:40. We got time. We got 10 minutes. What else is madness in this place? Here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we're going to get to the greetings coming from Facebook and WhatsApp in just a bit. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, total madness. I know it happens in the rest of the Caribbean and the rest of the world, but I could never get over when men in senior positions feel entitled to women and feel that they can and should and always get sex and sexual favors from women just because. I can never get over that. The fact that they abuse their status and their power. Here's something that is crazy. Here's something that we have heard many times before. Concerning the church, yesterday, news broke that a senior clergyman in the Anglican Church in St. Vincent and the Grenadines was basically kicked out, stripped of his title, stripped of his duties. Here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it was announced yesterday by the bishop. Because a woman came forward after many years of dealing with the trauma of a particular incident. After many years of probably nightmares and struggling and maybe PTSD as well, post-traumatic stress disorder, she has finally come clean and said, made the necessary calls, spoke to whosoever she needed to speak to, and said, you see that senior clergyman? In my teenage years, he raped me. Years later, I finally gained the courage and the strength to come forward and speak my truth. That individual did not deny the incident. So, somebody come forward and say that you sexually assaulted them in her teenage years ago. Many years ago. You did not deny? Well, get out of the church. These stories are sickening. These stories are sickening. Sickening for multiple reasons. First sickening fact that in that story is that you raped a teenager. And then you had the audacity to be standing on the altar in the Anglican Church and carrying about your life, knowing that that happened. Here in SVG, knowing that that happened, the height of hypocrisy though. Knowing that someday it's going to catch up with you. It is going to catch up with you. Well, your day is today. You think that should have never come clean and speak about it? What did you think would happen in the future? Sickening. You stand on the altar and you preach the word of God which is supposed to be the highest level of morality. It is the highest level of morality. And that's your baggage. Get rid of him. Get out of the church. You cannot be a member of, or you cannot hold such a position when that is on your name and against your name. No. And you see, these are the sort of things that should be done. Throw them out of the church. Remove the titles that they have been given. Maybe they worked so hard for it. Who cares? They should not be given, or they should not have certain authority in a church if they have been admitting to any wrongdoing, especially rape or any other forms of sexual assault. But you see what is happening here, right? Are you paying attention to what is happening here? This sort of ending, and when I say ending, I'm referring to the senior clergyman. Him being stripped of his duties and his position in the Anglican Church. These sort of things don't happen. You normally hear years later of people doing private investigations and coming up with large numbers of people who have been victims of sexual assault coming forward after many, many years. Do you hear of the perpetrators being kicked out of the church? Do you hear of perhaps the bishop or the highest member or some member of high authority, a member of the church who has authority to speak on these issues, coming out and saying what was done was wrong? This is what was done. We are laying the cards on the table. We are being accountable. We are being honest because we are Christians. How often do you hear that? Not very. Normally what happens is it's being swept on the ground. Maximum respect to the bishop for upholding the name and the reputation of the Anglican Church. Is it all them other religious institutions that know these things are happening, that know people in high authority in your church have sexually assaulted, have raped, I tell you, have fondled women, have made sexual advances on them, and you still kept them in the church, have abused children for years, and you know it, and you still kept them in the church. Take a page out of this book here. Actually, take the whole book. Don't take a page, take the whole book. This is what you do. When you see you're dealing with God, you don't mess around. You do not mess around at all. When you see you're dealing with taking advantage of people and vulnerable people like that, you don't mess around at all. Put them out. God's reputation is more important than anything. Maximum respect. Maximum respect. You see, this is why I said I just cannot. I get upset every time. I don't know if it's a situation where you feel because you got into a certain position, and this is generally speaking to her, you got into a certain position, so you feel that you are exempt. You feel that you are safe. So you can do anything that you want and get away. Or maybe your past will never catch up with you because you are in a certain position. You feel protected by your position. Moon does run till they catch 'em. Moon does run till they catch 'em. Sickening. Absolutely sickening. Let me get to some greetings here on the WhatsApp. Something else has been trending over the weekend, by the way. There are reports that there, should I say is or are, cluster, let me say is, that there is a cluster in at least, or there are clusters in at least one school where COVID-19 is concerned. Friday, man, it hit Facebook. Parents, teachers back and forth, or parent and teacher back and forth. But this is a point where it was inevitable. Once you have children coming together, some periods of the day they are going to be unsupervised. All it takes is 15 minutes, one positive contact, one positive case, 15 minutes, close contact. That's all it takes for COVID-19 to be spread from one person to the next. That is all it takes. So it has begun. The testing, the contact tracing. In school, I made attempts, multiple attempts, I tell you, to contact the Minister of Education. I actually contacted the Dorsetshire Hill Government School. They refused to comment. Refused to comment. I think I read between the lines with that one, man. I read between the lines with that one. So what is going to happen now? What is going to happen going forward? I trust. This is a fact. There is a reporting chain. There is a protocol in place for dealing with COVID-19 cases or clusters in schools. There is a protocol in place. Teacher made aware, principal made aware, Ministry of Education made aware, Ministry of Health made aware. The Ministry of Health deals with the issue. All right? So I know that right now, parents might be panicking, but just keep calm for a bit. I'm not saying to keep calm entirely, but when you have a level head, you're able to think clearly, you're able to think through things. It is a very trying time for a lot of parents, and parents are even asking, what would happen to my job if my child is either part of a contact tracing ring or group or contracts COVID-19 and has to stay home and I have to take care of that child? What do I tell my boss? What happens then? All right, so you tell me, listeners, where should I start this morning? Where should I start? You heard the trending stories. Which one should I start with? All right, let me say good morning to the folks on the WhatsApp. Good morning to Rosetta. Good morning to Denville. Good morning, Joshua. All right, good morning from Bermuda. Boys, that's a real nice sunrise, boy. Ooh, my goodness. Loneto! Yes, you are early. You were early this morning. You're first to class. Early to bed, early to rise. Makes a woman healthy, wealthy, and wise. Good morning to Highly Favor. Big up yourself this morning. Good morning to Anne, saying good morning, Crystal, and everyone in beautiful St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And to all here in the diaspora and around the world. Morning, Joshua. Saying good morning, Crystal. Are you okay? I don't look okay. I tried to make around the clock last night. It was not successful. You mean my eyes looking a little chunky? Yeah, man. Small scene. I good. Paulette says good morning. You have your wonderful day as well. Yeah, Travis Scott. He's in trouble for it. He should be. Let me take a call right now. Hello, good morning.
Hey, morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing? You're early, man.
This morning with a very, very what should I call that? It's like breaking news to me.
Breaking
And
news.
as an Anglican, that's why I have to express my deep or deepest regret or disappointment on what I'm hearing. Reminds me of how we have been hearing these stories coming from bigger countries where these culprits or these men of God or who wear the cloth, oh boy, have to be stripped and all of that sort of thing.
Strip them, man. Strip
It's nothing
them.
to rejoice over, but it only reflects, it only tells you about the world we are living in. And that's why when you touch on issues like this, I have to speak because I've been trying my best. I know I'm not, when I say this, well, I know someone in the Anglican church who knows me quite well because I'm an Anglican and I
You
used to
are?
go to church. Hello?
You are an Anglican? Hey.
Hey, why you think you and I have such good understanding maybe? Because you're an Anglican, I don't know how often you go to church. Maybe you go to church more than I.
Stick
But
to the topic, Dave. Stick to the topic. Stick to the topic.
no, I'm on the topic.
Yes,
But
no. You're straying a
the
bit to me.
focus is the society that we have been um, encountering, the people within the society. That's why you see people dress up and they do this and they do that. They speak well and they give a good impression. But what is behind that? And people talk nicely about them. Oh,
What you
such
say?
and such is always in the church, always up front and blah, 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 blah. And that's how sinners are so bold-faced. Sinners who pretend that they're so upright, they're so holier than thou. But when all is said and done, it only shows up the human weakness. Now, because it's a church, it's going to get this kind of and not only because it's a church, it's the established Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth Church. That Church of England, it has a history, right? And that's why when the Catholics, the priests were interfering with little boys and all that story, it made it, it is so damning, right? So now that these things are being revealed, at least this is the first major one. I can't recall anyone like this being exposed.
So close to home.
Yeah.
Home, actually.
So my thing is, I've been looking at our society. Maybe after all these years, I have gotten the wisdom. I have seen, I've seen where people follow the evil in our society and try to make it look good. So it's a check. This is like a reality check on all of us, right? Because all of us have sinned and come short of the glory of God. I am not a preacher.
Amen.
I'm not a Christian in the truest form, but I'm always keeping my eyes open and look at people who make such an impression, such an impact. And we have seen it from the head of government here in this country. And we some of us are so naive, some of us are so hypocritical, and some of us are afraid to speak about these things. But thank God, this one has been exposed. And for those of us who fooling ourselves, we all must appreciate that that this is a sinful country. We have sinners here. And I just hope and pray that those of us who still are functioning in such position that we can do it for the interest of God, and that this could really be a God-fearing society. I can go on, but I think I've said enough. And to you, it's a lesson for you as well. Thank you. Have a good day.
You're welcome. Same to you. Have a good day, Dave. So you heard it. It is now 7 o'clock across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We do apologize for the X News. We've gone over time just a little bit, but we're going to still bring that to you right about now. All right? We're going to end the live on Facebook. We were live on Facebook, by the way. You know, it's a thing. As soon as we sign in, we're live on Facebook. Unless we say we're not live online. All right? Welcome to the Wake Up Call for Monday morning. It's the 8th day of November. I know it's somebody's special day today. Good morning to all the folks on there at the vegetable market and the various meat markets across the entire country. You know, imagine I buy 2 cups of choo-choo. You know, I don't know why I do it. I feel the cat take my choo-choo. Up to now, I can't find the bag of choo-choo. I hope Chuchu Sala can talk today. Because I need some. I need 2 cups. Prepare it for me. I'll come and tongue today.